Thanks for joining us for another episode of Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Each week, Coach Ben and Coach Kyle share their insights, interview special guests, and offer some extra words of wisdom. The victory is ours, because we've already won.
Hello and welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. I'm your host, Ben Wildman, aka the Wildcat, and as you can see, I am riding solo, but the Maddog is going to join us at some point. We know it's the summer, and we know that many people are traveling. The Maddog has just been visiting West Africa, and he will be joining us soon. But whatever you do, guys, remember, do not quit. And that is because God has given us the victory. And this podcast is in season 2 now, and we're going to share how, as a Christian, you can use sports as a great tool in this victory. No matter if you're a player, a coach, or a fan. We hope to bring you relevant topics, different guests, and in season 2, we're talking about a topic and a tool. And this week, we've got a great guest. We've got Dave Waters joining us. And Dave is the founder and author of something called The Dual Dream. And that's the topic we're going to dive into today. Dave moved to South Africa from England in 2006, and he is actually married to a South African. He has 2 daughters, and he's been coaching for over 20 years. Dave holds a UEFA B coaching license, and he focuses on elite development in Cape Town. And he's done this since 2011. And he currently heads up recruitment, and he's going to talk to us a little bit more about his technical development role that he currently does. In 2015, Dave has become the director of the junior phase within Ubuntu, and he's actually developed the character curriculum for Ubuntu as well. So a very interesting guy. But above all, Dave has an amazing passion to see young footballers fulfilling their potential on and off the field. He's also a public speaker, a coach educator, and he thrives on engaging and interacting with a variety of audiences and contexts. And he's our special guest for this episode on Already Won. So without further ado, let's bring in our guest this week, Dave Waters. Here we come, Dave.
Good morning, Ben.
Hello, Dave.
Great
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks so much for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. Got a few quick fire questions to get going. Just answer the first thing that comes into your head. So to start off with, hot or cold?
Hot. I didn't move to Cape Town for cold, although it is a bit cold at the moment.
Great. Cape Town or Joburg?
Cape Town.
Cape Town all the way. Coffee or tea?
Tea. Very, very good Englishman.
Englishman, that's it. Right answer. There's no right answer. Cricket or rugby?
Rugby.
I know they're quite big in South Africa, so I was interested in that. And last one, Bafana or England?
England.
Oh.
Although if we played each other, that would be an interesting one. But yeah, I've married a South African, so I'm quite clear when, especially in rugby and cricket, when England are playing South Africa, I'm very clear on who I support.
Yeah, brilliant. Love that rivalry. Fantastic. Well, we're going to get to know you a little bit more than that. Obviously, we've asked questions around it because you're based in South Africa and you work for Ubuntu Football. But first question we always ask everyone, what does the phrase "already won" mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question to start off. And when I reflect on this year, I just see when you're in amongst challenges, when you're in amongst competition, rivalries, and performance sport, that I just cling on to the promises, especially of that scripture that says, forgetting what is behind, I press on towards the goal, what is ahead. And I think for me, I see this as a question about like knowing that we've already won the prize, knowing that in amongst the challenges that Christ is the victor, and that we are continually on that journey as well towards that prize.
Fantastic. Well, for people who are watching on video, which we recommend to go and check out the video, you can see your role obviously is with Ubuntu Football. Tell us a little bit about that current role and what does that word Ubuntu mean? Those who work in African context maybe understand this, but what does that word mean?
Sure. So, maybe just take a step back on. So, Ubuntu Football, we're Been going for 14 years, and we're investing in high potential football talent and giving opportunities where it's not equally distributed. So providing academic and high performance football opportunities. And we do that in the context of a very holistic environment. We've got a Christian foundation to what we do. And so we have the beauty of being able to share the gospel in our environment each day. We have our own independent private school with a residence, and then we look to try and get rid of them at 18. So we really look see what's the best opportunity. So I think we're at 22 sent to America on scholarships there, and 25 into professional football opportunities, and then teachers, policemen, investment bankers, all the other careers. So amongst all of that, to come to your question, what's my role? My role is the recruitment. So the teachers are always shouting at me when the kids are misbehaving in class, like Dave, like, why did you recruit this kid? So my job is really to try and oversee that we bring in the kids that fit us right. So it's quite a broad database that we're looking at. A lot of people that help support us within that, and then really age of 13 try and bring in 10 kids that will be with us on that journey, and then we sort of go on that journey post them leaving us. And then so specifically coaching the under 14 team as well. Just come back this week from Zanzibar. We had the privilege of playing a tournament in Zanzibar, the final of the African Schools Championships, and so it's a great privileged role to be able to travel around quite a lot with the team, and then just form part of the leadership team as well. So Ubuntu is an amazing expression, and essentially means I am because we are, and it's an expression around being connected. I think it's something that's really does form deeply within African culture, and I think that we really wanted to connect into that we're not looking at going alone with things. Is our identity, our purpose is interconnected with one another.
And that's really interesting. I mean, there's been some very high profile coaches, even in the NBA, who've done this. Doc Rivers kind of talked about this idea of Ubuntu and then went on to win an NBA championship. So there's, people can research a little bit around that, but that phrase is a brilliant phrase. And that's something that, has founded your organization on. And let's talk a little bit about, you said you're married to a South African wife now, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing before the role, before you came into work with Ubuntu Football. What were you kind of doing? We mentioned you love tea, but what was it like in your roots in England and stuff before that?
In England. So going back to England, so I studied in Leeds, and I worked a bit with Hull City. That's my beloved home team. And then went to Uganda for 6 months, came back to Bible College in the UK, All Nations Christian College, and that really sort of helped just give clarity on the future years. And then 2006 moved to Cape Town with Ambassadors Football at the time. So working in prison football ministry, girls football, so ladies football team, various different things. And then that kind of emerged into 2010 into a role initially pastoral with a football academy called Africa Soccer Developments that was taking players into Europe. And I was initially in a pastoral role, and then on the coaching side of things, gone really well with the owner, and that opened up with an amazing mentorship. Essentially, that place ran out of money, and so in 2015, brought across myself, plus a lot of research and a couple of staff into Ubuntu Football, and really, it was amazing. It just felt that what God had been preparing on my heart, and a vision for developing kids at a younger age, especially the character, the education, the spiritual investment, what I've been writing for the previous few years, thinking it was going to be under the banner of Africa Soccer Developments, actually ended up coming to fruition under Ubuntu.
We always love hearing that backstory of our guests, of how God's kind of prepared them, and, all the things you've done there. You talked about your training, your education, everything has prepared you for this role that you're currently in. Now, you mentioned about this holistic transformation. Let's dive into this a little bit more. because you've mentioned a few things there, but what does it look like? How do you holistically transform these kind of elite athletes in your context? What does that look like? And you've mentioned obviously the really important role of education, but yeah, share a little bit more about that.
Within South Africa, things can be complex. A lot of the kids are coming from trauma backgrounds. So that whether that's sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal, being exposed to gangs, being exposed to violence. So we're quite realistic that it's really, this is a long-term investment, and the mentorship, the discipleship is deep and over a lot of years. And yeah, working with teenage boys, they're really good at one thing. They're exceptionally good at one thing, and that's making bad decisions. And so, so sometimes we feel like we sometimes have to protect them from themselves. But also, I think that we've, and this is where I take my hat off to some of my colleagues, that just the grace-filled environment of where the kids are going to make mistakes, the kids are going to get things wrong, going to do stupid things at times, and being in an environment where we look to choose grace for the kids, and we really want to go on that longer term journey. We like, our desire is to, like, our wider vision is to see society and communities impacted and transformed by our graduates. And, you know, like, realistically, whether they're going to pro football or not, that's not actually the biggest deal, but it's who the young men, and now we've got women, we've got girls in the program, who they are becoming. And, you know, and as they head into their 20s, you know, that's where we're probably going to start to see the more impact. So I think, really, to answer your question, it's about that long-term journey. It's not a one-off Bible study. It's not a short-term fix. It's a journey, and it's often quite messy.
Well, really good, messy, long-term journey there. Fantastic. I love that phrase, grace-filled environment. Someone once told me, you know, mercy is when we don't get something we deserve. So, like, we're red card, we deserve, but grace is where we get something when we don't deserve it. So you're talking about there, you know, this grace-filled environment. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I noticed on your website that people could go in and visit. The tickets are on the bottom if you're watching via video. So you can go and visit these different platforms and see. But you try and create the right culture, and you've just talked about there that grace-filled environment. How do you do that within, you know, you mentioned the under 14s that you're coaching. How do you do that as you try and grow leaders? Because I can see all the videos and testimonies around that you want to grow leaders. So how do you do that within culture and then the environment?
Yeah, I think it's there's a mixture. We're strong with our programs. We've got character curriculum programs. We've got a Dual Dream program, which I'm sure we'll come on to a bit later. We've got we run alpha courses at times. So we've got some programs, but I think it's just the quality of the mentoring and the relationship. So for example, our house parents are just incredible, amazing people. They've got 3 adopted kids of their own, and they somehow raise 30 teenage boys and have this huge smile on their face every day, which it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how they do it. So I just think it's that depth and quality in that relationship. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, I think they just talk about the environment, you know, about having those mentors that are there, you know, like you're saying, who will walk with them and stuff, like you say, through the mess and things. And yeah, I noticed when you went on tour, you know, in different places, you know, talk about culture. You don't just you don't just use the games. You have the camaraderie that comes on tours and stuff. You know, you're using this as a way of really impacting these young men and to be future leaders, right? And I think from following your stuff, I can see that culture is around, you know, creating these opportunities for young people to grow. You know, that's kind of what I've kind of seen a little bit. So I think it does. You mentioned a little bit then around now with girls joining the program. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that, and tell us a bit. We had someone come on talking around women's sport, you know, a few on the last season of Already Won. So tell us a little bit about, in your South African context, what the barriers are there around girls and women's sport.
Yeah, we've been really excited to launch the girls program this year. We've taken, obviously, we've been 14 years old, there's been a lot of questions of why we're not launched earlier. And I think quite simply, we've wanted to do it properly and do it well. And so we started small, and we are exceptionally happy with the start. I think mainly because we've taken 5 brilliant girls who have just done so well. To be in an environment around smelly boys every day in the classrooms and on the field, just surrounded by boys, and then they obviously knew they were coming into that environment. I think like we've just been hugely encouraged with their character and the young ladies that they're becoming. So they're 13 and 14, and we've got a younger under 12 sort of feeder program as well. In terms of the barriers, I think one of them is the challenge of competition. And the structures have traditionally not been strong in girls' football. So, the level of investment, I guess, is similar in a lot of parts of the world, but it's still quite a big chasm. The quality of the coaching in girls' football's been neglected for a long time. So I think that means then we have to be creative. And so one of the ways we do that is that the girls, their biggest competition is in training realistically, that when they're playing with 13, 14-year-old top boys, they really are getting pushed.
This sounds great. I love that phrase, start small and do it well. I think that's encouraging for maybe people who are doing their own ministry and stuff. So yeah, we're looking forward to following that as you continue to grow that side of the ministry and organization. Brilliant. Now, on this season 2, we look at a topic and a tool. So the topic we're going to dive into now is your research around Dual Dream. And then we're going to come to some specific tools that people can kind of use in their kind of work as well. But this topic then, Dual Dream, I've followed this research for a while because I've read your book and stuff. And I'm really interested because for us in Sports Friends, we've got a lot of coaches in East Africa, West Africa, and your research is brilliant around what you've done. So tell us a little bit around, if anyone hasn't heard of Dual Dream, what is the kind of, a strap line around it? Tell us there, simply as possible, what is that research around Dual Dream?
Having been in the football industry for the last 20 years or so, I've just seen that there's 2 maths problems that we have, especially when we're looking towards young aspirational players. And the first one is there's millions of kids on the African continent, all dreaming of the same dream, all wanting to become Mane, all of the African stars. They see the sea in front of them and then believe that they're going to be the next one. But the reality is that there is a tiny, tiny, tiny number of opportunities. So my research looked into South Africa and looked at all the kids in academies and really pointed towards less than 1% of those kids, even in reputable, well-esteemed academies, will have a sustained professional career. So this, and then the second issue is also a maths issue, is when we talk about a football career, and this is similar in most sports, a sports career, it's not really a lifelong career. Within football in South Africa, you're looking at, or for any American listeners, soccer, but I'm sure we've got the gist of it. You're looking at 7 to 10 years is a decent length career in South Africa. The careers start late. Players don't get blooded until 22, 23, and then very few go on into their 30s. Of course, there's exceptions to that, and there's some that will go on into mid-30s. But essentially what it means is those 2 maths problems is that football in itself, professional sport, can never be the answer. You need another dream. You need another passion in life. You need education, because football cannot be the thing that you rely on. Yes, of course, Ronaldo and Messi, they're not going to struggle for money, and they're not going to need to be searching for another job. But there's very few players that actually go on to make enough money to live off.
I really like in the book, you've got some brilliant graphics that kind of show, if you have a football career and you finish at like the age, let's just say 30 years old, for example, you've still got potentially 30, however many years left, if you've got a mortgage or you've got kids or you've got other responsibilities. So even if you did have a long career within soccer, football, elite sport, you really make the point there where if you at like the age of 50, whatever, make a decision to neglect education, then it's going to come back and bite you, isn't it? Because a lot of people, I bet you've probably heard around, who've kind of just put all their eggs in one basket. Why is it important that, players don't just put all their eggs in one basket and focus on education?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ben. The challenge is, and this is really comes down to like the age groups I'm often interacting with. Kids are often making bad decisions at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way through, about their belief that football is going to be their answer and that they don't need education. And it also can be a bit of a false narrative that they just need to focus on football. That's the only thing at the expense of all else. And realistically, that means they're going to get underdeveloped socially and just life skills and other areas. They're going to miss out on things that their peers might have got. So yeah, really, like the research is trying to help just spell out very clearly that from those younger ages, push your education, push with other dreams and passions. Like at Ubuntu, we have them clearly articulate their dual dream. So they have to be able to articulate. They're not allowed to say, "I want to be a professional footballer," full stop. There must be an and I'm also interested in this career. I'm also interested in studying this or whatever. And so exactly as you were saying, so that when they do finish and stop pursuing football at whatever level, that might be they stop pursuing at 21 because they realize they're not going to go pro. It might be they've finished pursuing, they've gone to university in the States and realize that professional football is not a pathway, or they might get to 23 and get injured. They might get to 27. It doesn't actually really matter because they're going to face the same issue of what next. Really, this is like preparation really for the issue that many or that all of them will face, and that many actually don't really want to face that reality. And I think that society, and I'd say especially in South Africa, but it's probably similar globally, is not great at actually truly giving the real picture. When a kid's a superstar young footballer, generally the families and communities are often sort of getting behind that dream, but sometimes not a lot else.
Well, I mean, from reading your book, I was really struck by these kind of horror stories, like you've said there, around people being missold a dream, and then kind of some horrendous things happening, around child trafficking and all this kind of stuff. So I think, tell us a little bit around that, around the dangers of that kind of side of things as well, and the reality of, like you said, you've been in this for 20 years now. So tell us a little bit around that and why it's important that we put this on people's radars really early on.
I'm probably best to share, like a very close colleague of mine now, who was in the previous academy that I worked at in 2009. He was trafficked from Cameroon. So basically the way that football trafficking works is an agent comes along and says to a family, "Look, your son is really talented." So in this case, he was a Cameroonian under 17 international. "I've got an amazing opportunity. It's going to cost $5,000. Family go into debt, pay the money, and then there is no opportunity." And so those stories are unfortunately quite common, and it's actually really difficult. I'm working with an organization called Mission 89 at the moment, just trying to look into ways of how can we try and have some intervention within this trade. It's impossible to stop it, but at least how can things like Dual Dream and awareness campaigns have some sort of dent and impact? And it's mainly around education. There's a misunderstanding of opportunity, which is a tough and difficult task. But I think that being within the industry, you can't just turn a blind eye to this stuff.
And that's what your book really does, in your research. For me, it gives you that awareness. And where can people go to? Because we can talk about this for a long time. I don't think half an hour can do it justice, because I've read your book multiple times, and I've tried to, like you said something there about getting players to write down that dual dream, like putting it on the radar really early on. And I'm trying to raise this awareness within our organization, within Sports Friends, with all our coaches that we have. But where can people go, kind of website wise, and where can they kind of get their hands on the book and the research?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon, so it's on Kindle. You can go on my website, which is scrolling on the bottom, dualdream.org, to find out more information. And and feel free to get in touch with myself if you want more information. There's sort of seminars and trainings and stuff that accompany it.
Yeah, so good. I mean, I love what you said earlier about seeing society being transformed. You mentioned people who've come through, the Ubuntu football. Yes, some have went on to play at really high level, but there's also those that have went into higher education and different roles and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit around a few stories around that, around, how that's happened and how Dual Dream has kind of impacted that wider society.
Jesse, I met with him just before we went to Zanzibar. So he was a 15-year-old, he wouldn't regard himself as a particularly talented player, who was in the B squads and basically had a real incredible growth mindset and grew massively. Before long was in the under-17 national team and the under-20 national team, got his first professional contracts. And to see now, like he's 25, his pro career is stalling at the moment, but to see he's grounded in his faith, he's grounded in his church, and that his identity is not in football. And it's actually quite a refreshing thing to see someone who has he's been on national team camps as well, but that's not who he is. That's not his sole identity. And of course, yes, he wants to sort of see his career push on to the highest level. But and I think, so, and then maybe another one would be just a teacher was not great in our school program. He and somehow he just got a passion for teaching and just an investment in young boys and young girls that he just saw that this is the way God's wired him, that his football didn't take off, and so that's really what his purpose was in life. And to see him now is a sought after teacher in our local area. We'd love to have him back in our school, but we'd have to fight to get hold of him. But I think that those stories just really do encourage us all amongst all of those teenage struggles.
Yeah, for sure. And I've looked on your YouTube channel. If people have been watching via video on YouTube, really do go and check out, your YouTube channel and stuff, because you see stories like that on there as well. And all the social media stuff have been scrolling as well. So if you listen via audio, get on the website and get on the video and see all these different things as well. Dave, last question. You've given us lots of different wisdom there, and I think you've intrigued probably a lot of people around your research and stuff. But have you got any practical tools or practical tool that people can use? If people want to start doing this, yes, you can put this on the radar by asking players, what's their dual dream, but any other kind of tools that you can share with us to finish off?
Absolutely. My favorite teaching tool is the 3D coaching model. So FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, sort of journeyed quite a bit with Mark Hull over the years from FCA, and really this model, I just see it works globally. It certainly works in South Africa, and really their research showed that 80% of coaches only focus on the physical, so on the tactical, technical, on developing the players. Only 15% of coaches sort of work on the mental, on the mind. And just 5% of coaches focus on the heart, on purpose, on things beyond who the player is on the field, on the track. And inevitably, the best coaches in the world are working in all three areas. Jurgen Klopp is such a great example, inspiration personally. But I think that's just a helpful model to say that it's not enough to just invest in athletes, in sports people, at whatever level, just in those physical things. It's not enough just to add a bit of psychology, a bit of motivation in. It's when you get into that deeper purpose in that who that child is, who are they becoming as a person. I think that's when your coaching just takes on a different form, and it's where lives are really impacted.
And that, from our conversations that we've had, you've impacted me in that, the what of coaching. We always say, the technical and the physical. I always say the how of coaching, the psychological and the social. And then the why is the middle bit, like you say there, going after the heart. So, conversations in the past has really helped impact me. And I hope people will go away and do check out your research a bit more and get hands on the book and stuff and get it on Kindle, and then follow you on different platforms as well. Where can people follow? It's along the bottom, but people kind of follow you going forward as well, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just on LinkedIn. I'm not on too many social media platforms. So just on my website, jeweldream.org, and you'll find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, please follow Ubuntu. We're on an exciting journey. I think there's some unique and encouraging stories there.
So good. Well, you've certainly encouraged us on this. And Dave, thank you so much for your time. And we're looking forward to following your ministry going forward as well. And keep encouraging and inspiring the Jewel Dreams in South Africa and beyond as well. Thanks,
Ben. And thanks for all of your amazing work that you're doing here. You're really doing an amazing job.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Dave. Right. Well, I enjoyed that a lot, hearing from Dave Waters there. There was a lot of wisdom around that. A lot of our coaches in Sports Friends are in an African context, a lot in East Africa and West Africa. And a lot of the things that Dave spoke about are really live issues for them there as well. But I think this is not something that just can be applied to an African context. Where I am in the UK, this idea about a dual dream is really important as well. I do coach in a professional environment as well. And I think some of those things that he said was really important. Now, we did miss the Maddog on this episode. Unfortunately, he was not able to come in. And I know a lot of you are going to be frustrated and say, look, where's the Maddog? This is like, it's ant without deck. This is not the normal podcast from Sports Friends. But you can be assured that the Maddog was listening, and he.
Wait a second! Hey, I made it! Oh my goodness! You should have seen what I did. I didn't speed.
You mean, Maddog?
No speeding on the road happened. That did not happen.
What you missed was it was gold, Maddog. It was gold. You're gonna have to listen and watch back, just like everyone else.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was listening as I was, carefully driving down the road, going the speed limit, people, policemen, speed limit. But yeah, it was good. It's good to hear from some South African efforts.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for captaining the ship without me. You didn't get your anchor man, but
There we go. You are definitely the anchor man. Yeah, that's it. So I think with all of this, we have to wrap it up with a little bit of a Sports Friends video, don't we? Right. So have you got a video for us around this? What we've talked about today?
I got a video for you. You're gonna love it. Let's watch it.
Okay, my name is Emanuela Joshua Pam. I'm from Cooking LCC Nabor. My mentor is Coach Moses. And then I joined Sports Friends since when I was a child. That was like since 2011 till date. So Coach Moses has been my mentor, Coach Moses, Coach IC, Coach Gombo. And then it has been a lovely impact. Like, it was lovely. Like, I learned discipline from Sports Friends, like from Coach Moses. Coach Moses was really a disciplined mentor. And I'm mentoring my Sports Friends children now at Old Amingo Road. That's Itobaba, Old Amingo Road, Nabor. And how I mentor the kids is through sports. Aside sports, we do teachable moments. Like, okay, for example, now we're in the pitch having a football training, and then they do rough to them. We encourage them not to take rough from people. Rather, they should show them that they are from Christ. Rather, they are for Christ. They shouldn't do rough to children out there. They should show them love. They should show them that they are not just children, but they can do beyond what they are seeing. Like, they can impact on their parents' life. They can impact on people around them.
Told you I delivered. I may be late. I may be missing in action, MIA, but I delivered a video. There you go. How about you, Ben? Do you have any Wildman's Weekly words, wisdom, whatever we're calling it? WWW.
I do. Always have some. I think Dave spoke about a little bit about, the reality of teenagers making bad decisions and stuff like that, and the reality of the mess that goes on within this academy and stuff like that. And, that's what happens. But I've got a little quote here. It says, don't aim for perfection, aim for progression. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progression. And I think... Coach. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? And I think, like, Dave obviously is trying to build this environment and Ubuntu football around this, and there's been some great stories around it. But He's not giving them an unrealistic dream about perfection, selling them the dream, saying, look, you're going to go and all of you are going to be professional footballers and you're going to make income for the rest of your life. He's been a lot more realistic, and he's actually talking about progression and trying to progress the agenda of education along with the sport and ability as well. And I thought that was really important. And that progression, I think, is really important that he's trying to do, to try and encourage every player. And obviously for us, it would be every coach and, every person to think about trying to get the best education as possible. So when you get to, if you finish playing football, or, you can progress and actually have a job, an income for your family and for the rest of your life as well, by making sure that's a dual dream. So I really like that about putting that on the agenda from day one. What is your dual dream? Don't just put all your eggs in one basket and kind of do that as well, right, Maddog? So yeah, there's some weekly wisdom, some weekly words for you there. How about that?
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
There we go.
Awesome anecdote. Saying, you want some? I gave you some.
There's another one. There it is. That's some goal right there. No, I enjoyed it a lot. That was good. I enjoyed having Dave on there as well today. And thank you guys so much for your time. But what do they need to do, Carl? Make sure they don't forget. We know we say it all the time, but you cannot forget this.
I think people are forgetting, but we need to remind them. As you said, tell your friends. Hey, Ben, tell your friends' friends. I know you do that too sometimes. But then also tell your parents. Get mom and dad involved. Get their friends involved. Tell your parents' friends. Just tell everyone. You've already won. Thanks again for joining us on Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.